Thank you. Thank you and good morning. Before we get started today, I'm going to ask a favor of you. And the favor is, at the end of the show, if some of you would not leave after the cameras aren't rolling anymore, I would like to, you remember my story about photography, capturing the way we are today to cherish the way we were tomorrow. I'd like a picture. And you'll have the opportunity to be here on stage, and I've got the ship's photographer who's going to take it, and it'll just be a wonderful thing. And speaking of cherishing, you know, the lecturing and performing team that Crystal has put together for this cruise has been the perfect storm. Absolutely phenomenal. How many went to the Broadway thing last night? Oh, I mean, it was just totally off the hook. And that was Andrea Burns, Aaron Lazar, and Jamila. Oh, Jamila. Jamila did Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then backed it up with Tina Turner. That is just inspiring, intoxicating, show-stopping talent. Unbelievable, right? Then Rick Scheidner came out and killed again last night here in this lounge. I'm telling you, it's an inspiration and frankly humbling to see someone that good consistently. Wow. So today I've enlisted a little hookiepaw. I don't want you to be nervous about that word. Hookiepaw, let's not jump to conclusions. Basically it means it's the Hawaiian word for hospitality. And here is my little helper for hookiepaw. Well, you know this song, right? You know this is how we begin. The words will be up there. Here we go. Tiny bubbles. Don't hold back, please. Come on now. In the wine. Yeah, there. I like it. Make me happy. If I only had a leg. Make me feel fine. All right. That's enough of that. I know. The words were kind of like a Harpo Marx movie. I don't know why that is. You know, we can't get too happy here because we got a full bar and it's closed. I mean, that says all of it, right? All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm hoping that my video comes up, and I'm looking at you in the back. Can you see my video? I don't see my video. Yes, sir, I see you too. That's not quite the video that I mean. Here, I'm going to unplug this and try this again. Is that okay? James, what do you think? By the way, I've mentioned him a lot, and he's come to my rescue. He's right over here. That's James. Can we have a round of applause for him? So what do you think, my friend? See that ugly guy? That's me. Let me take it off and put it back on again, and we'll see what happens. No, that's just my monitor, actually. Let's go there. We have no signal. Ooh, this is bad. Okay. Oh my, there it is. All right, hold on. Let's see. That's Don Ho. No, I'm not going to make you sing that song again. Although it might be kind of fun. Let's try it one more time. No, I'm only kidding. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll just edit that out of the TV. They'll never know what happened. So I believe that our music, our favorite songs, are bookmarkers for personal experience. And I'm the voice that became part of that bookmarking experience for people across the United States over almost 20 years. And music and performance remain a great part of my life today. I actually am very proud of myself today, if you want to know the truth, because I went into the ship's library and I checked out a jigsaw puzzle. I put it together in an hour, which I think was very impressive because the box said 3 to 4 years. Thank you very much. So welcome to my twist on one-hit wonders. We're talking about songs that took off like Halley's Comet, you know, whoosh, and then fell to earth thanks to Galileo, and never heard from them again. Well, maybe you heard from some of these artists when they said, can I supersize that for you? I mean, their careers definitely changed. Thank you. I wrote that and thought it went so much better in rehearsal. One of them, do you remember the song, Gloria, Gloria? You remember that? The lead singer was Van Morrison. Maybe you don't know that or not. Well, in any case, some people in the country, they have Gloria by the Shadows of Night. Who? Well, so your mileage may vary. We'll have to work on that. What is on the table first today? Ooh. Let's begin with the record for one-hit wonders. 5. Now, wait a minute. How can one artist or group have the record of 5 one-hit wonders? Well, that's a good question. So what we're going to do is start with this #1 song, and there are 4 more to follow.
She ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free. Oh, for love flows to where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows. For united we stand, divided we fall. My baby loves love, and she's got what it takes, and she knows how to use it. Beach baby, give me your hand, give me something that I can remember.
So the answer, by the way, is not within the music. You have to look very carefully. Have you discovered the common thread? The common thread is where you have to look. And it looks right here, and there, and there, and there, and there. His name is Tony Burrows, and he holds the record for one-hit wonders. He was a session singer. He recorded all of those vocals in different demo sessions. He sang lead on all of them, and 3 of them ended up in the top 10 at the same time. It's kind of incredible. Remember, he's singing demo records. There's no formal group attached to it. But when the record is released, they create a group, and he's the lead singer of the group. Now, do you know, what was the name of that show in London? Top of the Pops. Very similar to American Bandstand. Okay, so at Top of the Pops, the group comes out, sings their hit, leaves the stage. No. Tony comes out, sings with the first group, they leave the stage, he stays on the stage. Not twice, 3 times. Unbelievable. You ask him if being in all of those different groups simultaneously was a challenge, and he'll say this.
Yes, it was. It was a little bit because I was trying to split myself in so many different directions.
So how did the timing work that somehow all of these records were on the charts at the same time?
They were recorded over a period of 9 months, but they were all released at the same time, which was really strange.
Very strange, and a great trivia thing. Now, if you're new to our rock and roll therapy session here, you should know that everything here is live, and we test our... James? My blood pressure's at about 210/400. Are we good now? Okay. We're good. These beauties, by the way, are made for me. Some of you are wearing them. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. They are my music bracelets. I always wear mine. There's a close-up of it. And then you'll also see that it's on sale at Apropos, which is on deck 6. This is the last day. Checklist done. Speakers on. Video, audio, fingers crossed. We're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Bob Ray.
KHJ Los Angeles. I'm Dick.
I love Peter Paul and Mary.
Rock and roll
I got to tell you,
music
that's one of the great radio stations that I grew up listening to, KHJ in Los Angeles, listening on the other side of the radio. I was young, thin, and had hair. All right, it was a long time ago. And I said, I want to do that. So yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and some dreams really do come true. Now, this song was incredible. A one-hit wonder for an artist 76 years after it was originally released. The song itself was a hit twice, once as a vocal, once as an instrumental, and it originates in one of our most popular movies of all time. You remember the movie studio had this name, Louis B. Mayer? Yeah. Well, he wanted to cut it out of the film because he said, you know, it just kind of slows down the pace. The artist, the actress who sang it in the movie, fought hard, and she won to keep it in. Good thing. Song won an Academy Award and became the signature tune for the singer's career for the rest of her career. Her search for a perfect place began here.
It's far, far away. Behind the moon, beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Of course, we're talking about Ray Bolger, Ed Wynn, and the incomparable Judy Garland. Now, in those days, those songs from movies were not released as singles. So the song did take the #1 spot, but not as a vocal. It was a hit as an instrumental. Do you remember who did it? Huh. How about a little hint? And who is this? That's Glenn Miller. Glenn Miller and the orchestra. Hard to believe. And the accolades for Over the Rainbow are over the top. The RIAA said that it was incredible and the greatest movie theme ever from the American Film Institute. Who would ever, in their right mind, try and do a cover version of a song with those accolades? I got to tell you, it's a great story. This local Hawaiian musician is up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's a new recording studio in town, and he gives them a call and says, listen, I'd like to come down, and I have an idea I'd like to record. The studio owner is there, likes the sound of his voice, and he says, in walks the largest man I have ever seen. We had to search for a chair big enough to support him. An unbelievable occurrence, 3 o'clock in the morning. One guy, one ukulele, and one take on this song. Some songs are impossible to do better than the original, but this guy had an idea. His Hawaiian name is a mouthful. I'm not going to try and do it. We'll just call him Iz for Israel. And he had one hell of an idea for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That is a rare photo of Iz with his shirt off, and it's the album cover. By the way, how well did that song do? Take a look at this. 600,000 copies in Germany, 4 million plus in the United States. 5 million plus copies from an idea that came to him at 3 in the morning and done in one take. Unbelievable. This one-hit wonder became a hit for the group after they broke up. They're from Portland. They're playing this live gig. And in the live gig, they do this song for 90 minutes straight. 90 minutes on the dance floor. Can you imagine? No. So in any case, there's a disc jockey there. Of course there is. From Kissin, K-I-S-N in Portland. And he says, hey, you guys, I want to record you tomorrow. Oh, okay. I'll pay you $50. Oh, okay, but we're going to record it in the production studio of the radio station. Oh, okay. They've only got one mic. The mic is on a short cord from the ceiling, and it only gets down to about here. So naturally, the lyrics had to be shouted up into the microphone, and they really, they weren't clear. And suddenly there was a controversy about the lyrics. Are they dirty? Did you hear what he just said? And you know what? The FBI investigated this song for 3 months. They found nothing. Over 1,600 versions of this song. And here's the original, Louie Louie. You know, I had a jacket like that. As a matter of fact, I still have it. I just put wings on it. Anyway, by the way, it's not Louis, Louis. It's Louie Louie, because that was the name of the bartender that they named the song after, Louie Louie. The Kingsmen were awarded all of their songs after 30 years of litigation and a $1.5 million lawsuit. They were never paid a dime until then. One of the top 500 rock and roll songs of all time. Wow. And then there's this one, 40 songs that changed the world. I'm not quite sure about that, but you know, rock and roll is in the ear of the beholder, as they say. Instrumentals came into rock and roll. You got to remember, this group opened that door, and then there was Santo and Johnny, Sleepwalk, remember that? And then bow, 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 bow. Dwayne Eddy, remember his great guitar? Dave Baby Cortez, I love that happy organ, and more. Rock and roll sounded very, very different, especially in Los Angeles, where one of the great advertising minds to be, Chuck Bloor, created something in LA called color radio.
Colorful sounds on color radio. Brighten your day, relax in the night with color radio. KFWB, Channel 98.
Now these guys were session players for Gene Autry's record label. And they sat around with time remaining on a session and put this together behind this sax. Pretty amazing. By the way, the former group members of the Champs include James Seals and Dash Crofts, Seals and Crofts, and Delaney from Delaney and Bonnie. They all played in that group. The name came from Gene Autry's horse. Anybody remember that name? Champion. There he is. And Mr. Autry, one of my first radio jobs, working for his station at KMPC. And by the way, do you know how many times they say tequila in that song? Any guesses? 3. And when you win the drink, I want you to think of me. Very nice. Now, tequila was born again decades later in a movie. Remember this? Now, you talk about a rock and roll ride. That actor is Paul Rubens. You may know that Paul has had his ups and downs. Quite something. Let's, fingers crossed, get this together. From One Hit Wonders, I have a lot of people who are still in my former business, radio, and one of them, I'm hopeful, is going to be here if my video holds and my audio holds. Can we do this? Let's just make this work, James.
Hey, what are you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Mr. Rock and Roll from Northern California's rocket radio station 107.7 The Bone. He is a fixture in San Francisco and has also been syndicated all over the country. Here's a radio name for you. Lamont Hollywood. There we go. How you be, my friend?
Where are you calling me from?
I'm on a ship, man. I'm coming back. By the way, that fake ID that you gave me, that passport, that worked great. Listen, it's $2.99 a minute, and I'm a cheap guy, so let's just rock and roll here. I called to ask you a question. Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so here it is. Give me your favorite one-hit wonders.
Well, you know what? I think my favorite, I've got a couple of them. One of them is War by Edwin Starr. After you recorded that, you never really heard from the guy again, but that song is fantastic. And I'll tell you what, I always confirm how great my one-hit wonders are when I hear them on TV commercials 20 years later.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, every call that I've had on this cruise has thrown a curveball, and poor James is back there with my hard drive, and he's frantically looking through all of my music to see if he's got... He's good.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Yep. I remember it well. Good job, James. By the way, how come I can't remember his name now? Edwin Starr had another hit called 25 Miles, but nobody remembers that, so he really is just a one-hit wonder. You know, Lamont, when I come back to the Bay Area, like this week maybe, everybody here knows I'm a photographer and you're in radio, but you don't have a face for radio like mine, so you need some new photos, and I'd love to do some new headshots for you.
I'm going to hold you to those pictures because I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you, my man. Lamont Hollywood, everybody, and if you knew his real name, you'd know why his radio name is Lamont Hollywood. Now, this one-hit wonder has the distinction of being a hit, but he didn't sing on it, even though he's listed as the vocalist. Very interesting cat. His name, as you may know, is Cliff Nobles. He recorded the A-side, which was a vocal, but he ran out of studio time. So he goes to the engineer, well, just take the backing music track, flip it over without my vocal, and call it a day. And they did. Well, the A-side went nowhere until this disc jockey in Florida took the record. You know, disc jockeys used to play records, not just downloads or MP3s. And he flipped it over, the instrumental. And then he started singing to it, made up his own lyrics. People called on the request line and said, shut up and just play the record, will you please? The rush was on, and it went to number 2. Called The Horse. Now, there was a great controversy about this record because the group, the session group behind him, they said, no, that was just a jam session. That was just us playing. Cliff Nobles and the producer weren't there. They quit. And they formed their own group. Said, you know, we've got a better idea. Maybe you remember their one-hit wonder. They are MFSB, Mothers, Fathers, Sisters, and Brothers, and they have this group called the Sound of Philadelphia. And man, did they back up some people. We are talking about unbelievable talent. The OJs, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, even the Tramps. Do you remember the Tramps from the disco era? Oh, man. And by the way, that was the theme song to a television show. Do you remember which one that was? Soul Train. Wow. Now, here's another quiz. I like this one. Do you remember the year cigarette advertising was banned? The movie Midnight Cowboy came out. I'm walking here, Dustin Hoffman. And the Woodstock Music Festival. It was a very good year.
KGB, San Diego.
Especially for this duo, Denny and Rick.
In the year 35, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. In the year 25.
Wow, everybody remembers that one. It was written 5 years earlier, and it talked about the dangers looming in technology come future years. Man, I wonder what they would think about smartphones now. Oh, and by the way, here is a real lesson about the music business. This is the chart of their songs. There's in the year 2525, number 1 in the US, the UK, 2 in Australia. And there is the chart of their follow-up records, all 5 of them. Welcome to the harshness of the music business. Now, this one-hit wonder was another B-side, not an A-side. It was a B-side. And Gary DiCarlo, guess what? He was a session musician. And he was a singer that he sang Working on a Groovy Thing. Maybe you remember that song, Working on a Groovy Thing. Well, I'll never sing again, sorry. And, but it was put out by the Fifth Dimension before he could get his record out. So he recorded another record, another A-side, and he threw this thing on the B-side called Na Na Na. Both songs were by a group called Steam, but there was no group. There was just Gary singing. And of course, disc jockeys flipped the record again because the A-side sucked, and they said, no, this is much better. And actually, his life was forever changed, all of that. You've heard this song not only on the radio, but also at sporting events around the world. And Gary DiCarlo confirmed for me, yeah, man, that is the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. The woman at the Kaminsky Park at the stadium, she had the organ music, and there was like a little lull in the game. She liked the song, so she picked it up, she started to play it. The fans started to sing it. It became their team song.
Incredible, right? So it started from Boston, and it went everywhere.
From that point, it became a hockey song, a basketball song, well, I should say just chant, and soccer. I heard it. The only thing I haven't heard it on is golf.
I am sure that Tiger Woods, Jim Nance, and CBS is just waiting for the right time to bring that thing out. Oh, here's if there are some people here from the South Bay. This is another friend of mine. I'm going to try and bring him on the air here. He's played rock and roll at very big radio stations, KYA in San Francisco when he was young, thin, and had hair too. And he's currently hosting the morning show on K-Bay in San Jose. Is he on the line? We got him? Yeah? Okay. Hey, Sam, how you doing, man?
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Listen, with all your years on the air, Sam, I'm calling to ask an expert a quick question, okay?
You calling me from Italy?
Actually, no. We're sailing back from Mexico and Hawaii, and there's no worry, it's not a cigar boat full of hooch this time. Listen, in the interest of keeping my visa bill somewhat below incredible, I'm calling to ask you for one of your favorite one-hit wonders.
It's hard to pick one, Bob. There are so many that mean something to me. For example, I was in love with a girl, and You Were on My Mind, which was a one-hit wonder, was a big hit over the summer, and I remember playing it constantly and staring out the window, you know, wistfully.
Absolutely. I remember that wistful look. This is a group from San Francisco, and who knew? There were 5 of them.
When I woke up this morning, you were on my mind, and you were on my mind. I got trouble.
Whoa, whoa. Sam, so great, man. Thank you for the quick interruption here on the middle of your day and taking my call. I got to tell you, it's so great to still have you on the air. I admire your talent and your longevity in our very competitive business, men.
Well, thank you. I admire you greatly, as you well know, and to be able to hang out with a guy like you that I listened to and admired all those years while I was trying to find my way in radio. So, back at you.
Sam Van Zandt, great guy. This one-hit wonder is the only Belgian song ever to be number 1 in the United States. You recognize this artist? No. Does this help? Maybe this will.
KBLA 1500, California Radio.
nique, s'en allait tout simplement. Oh Dieu, pauvre et chantant. En tout chemin, en tout lieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu.
Ah,
À
parlez-vous
l'époque où
français?
j'entends d'Angleterre.
Perfect timing. Number one for 4 weeks in the United States at a time when our country was reeling from the loss of JFK. Number one single, number one album. Then the problems began. She appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show. That did not go over with the church at all. Well, to make matters worse, then came the movie. You remember it with Debbie Reynolds. It was a movie about a nun struggling with her vows. This was not a big hit with the church. There was a rift. She left the church, decided to follow her music career. But like so many artists have found before her, and will find after her name and her songs were the intellectual property of her record company. So she started a new career, a new look, with a new name, Janine Deckers. Sadly, lightning did not strike twice. She founded a school for autistic children, which floundered, and sadly, she committed suicide in 1985. This one-hit wonder came with a promise. Well, actually, it came with a threat. And the threat is, look, if this isn't a hit, the writer said, I'm going to give this to Jack Jones. Jack Jones? Are you Mrs. Jones? Anyway, there were 2 versions recorded. One of them had this fabulous Hammond organ intro. Wow, it was a huge hit. Remember? Our Day Will Come. Here's Ruby and the Romantics.
Our day will come, and we'll have everything.
You know, over 1 million copies of that thing, and so once again, one of the things that I really enjoy about music is someone who has the courage to take a song that's already been a hit for somebody else and put their own twist on it. And new interpretation, new ideas, and especially 40 years later. This is a completely different, very unique look at Our Day Will Come. Oh man, listen to that smoky sax. It's from the UK, and her name is Amy Winehouse.
Our day will come, and we'll have everything.
Clive Davis, who is an iconic record man, producer, and has what we call ears. He can hear hits. He said that Amy Winehouse would be one of the biggest stars in the music business. But sadly, her career ended before she was 31. Some songs, you know, you hear them and you go, I've heard that before. But this one-hit wonder stood out from the crowd. Well, unless you were talking about the crowd in the 1930s. Americans, we called it vaudeville, but the English, where this thing was written, called them music halls. There really was no group here because they're session players. And they're all, well, they have an idea. They want to do an homage to this kind of music. And so they go inside the studio and they set up a microphone at the end of a megaphone. They raise it up a little bit. He puts his mouth to it and sings this.
Winchester Cathedral, you're bringing me down. You stood and you watched that. My baby left town.
Well, it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, it Grammys for Best Contemporary Song, Best Rock and Roll Song, and Record of the Year. It took over the #1 spot from some powerful people. That's Johnny Rivers, Poor Side of Town, and the Beach Boys and the Monkees. Wow, those were the days, my friend. Oh, do you remember who sang that? Very good. Most people will say Mary Hopkins. There's no S on her name. As I learned when I did this presentation, she stood up and said, "There's no S on my name." Yep, I never really forgot it. And by the way, this won the Grammy for Best Rock and Roll Record over Abbey Road. Are you kidding? Unbelievable. No matter where you lived in the United States or Mexico, in the UK, wherever, anywhere around the world, if you listen to music on the radio in 1970, you know this sound.
XCRB moves on.
9:30 in Los Angeles.
Wolfman Jack was truly one of a kind. Are you kidding? Broadcasting from Mexico on a 50,000-watt fireball station. Nobody sounded like him. He was the original host, by the way, of the Midnight Special, and this is one of his favorite oldies, In the Summertime.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
I'm not sure how that plays today. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. I don't think that's going to work. I got to tell you this story. So, I'm working at KLIV in San Jose. Wolfman's coming to town to do a record hop, and they're looking for a disc jockey to play records along Wolfman Jack. Well, I got right alongside him. Unbelievable. Santa Clara County Fairgrounds, there are 10,000 people packed into this auditorium to dance with the Wolfman. So I'm on a little stage with these turntables, all right? And Wolfman's out in his limousine. So I walk out to the limousine, the window's up. Yeah. Oh, hi, Wolfman. I'm Bob Ray. I'm here to play your music today. Ah, come on, get in. So I'm sitting in a limo with Wolfman, and he goes, "Big crowd?" I said, "Yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's go do this." We go out. As he walks in the room, thunderous applause. It was unbelievable. I'm right behind him. I made believe it was for me. Anyway, Wolfman gets up, gets the microphone. I get the first record on. I put the tone arm on. It starts to play. The people are gyrating with such incredible enthusiasm. The ground is shaking and the tone arm is jumping off the record. Wolfman's doing one of these. That big bearded face and those eyes looking at me, oh my. After 2 records of this, he goes, "Thank you, good night." Walks off and goes to his limousine. This will tell you a little bit about the difference between then and now. 10,000 people gave him a standing ovation and filed out without incident because they'd been with the Wolfman. Wow. It's one of my favorite stories. And I'm thinking about you, Bob Smith, today. Wow, unbelievable. By the way, here's another one-hit wonder you may remember. This was a B-side. The A-side was called Surfer Joe. Nobody remembers that, but another disc jockey turned around and said, "You know, I think I'm going to play this, but I'm not going to sing along with it." Wise move. These are the Safaris and something called Wipeout. Listen, before we call this performance a wrap, I still have time, and I've had Sam Van Zandt and Lamont Hollywood on, and I really appreciate it. I had 20 years on the air playing this stuff. I'm very passionate about it, as you know, and I'd like to share with you, if I can have a couple more minutes of your time, what is my favorite one-hit wonder. Is that okay? All right, so here we go. We're going to do this little bonus session. Maybe you remember this TV show. And it's okay if you don't. Name that tune? All right. So the object is to name the tune in the fewest amount of notes possible. I can name that tune in 2 notes, 1 note, whatever. I can name that tune without hearing it. That guy's good. All right. So I'm going to play the first note of this one-hit wonder. If you know it, please raise your hand. Don't say it out loud. And you can win one of my rock and roll bracelets. Now, I'm going to make it easier for you. The artist is a man, not a group. And I'll give you a clue from the artist himself. Where might you have heard this song?
It's been Contact, Wayne's World 2, it's been Remember the Titans. The biggest highlight in my life was when they put the song in Apollo 13. It was too cool.
All right. No idea I heard that. Raise your hand and listen very carefully. One note. Hold on one second. You're first. Here's two notes. What's the name of that song? Spirit in the Sky by Norman Greenbaum. How about a hand for her?
Hit after hit after hit. Hit music. Players 101.
This song has provided a great living and wonderful income for generations of Greenbaums. It has been in all of those movies, and by the way, was written about cowboys dying with their boots on, looking up at the sky. Who knew? And this guy is a character, a real character. His name is Norman Greenbaum, and as she said, Spirit in the Sky.
When I die and I lay me to rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to die, going up to the spirit in the sky.
Really unbelievable. Every time I hear that, I get happy. Norman Greenbaum. And I realize that I'm putting more money into his pocket, and that makes him happy, so it works for everybody. It's time for you to get moving a little bit, so what I want to do is just to kind of cap off our time together with a little audience participation. So, what we're going to do is, on three, I want everybody to say, shout. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Shout. Well, that was fair. Fair. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. Shout. Perfect. So now, we're going to add a little choreography. Wow, and you thought this body couldn't move. What, are you kidding me? All right, here we go. When I say 1, 2, 3, I want you to say the word and put your hands in the air. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Shout. Oh my!
You know you make me wanna lift the throw my hands up, kick my heels up and down. Come on,
yeah.
Take it easy.
Don't give up. Don't get tired. Oh, give yourselves a hand. You're absolutely wonderful. While we're giving applause, James in the booth, thank you very much for everything that you've done for my presentations. Gianni on the camera, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. And Derek and Rico upstairs in the booth. I must tell you that I can't believe these 2 weeks are over. Oh, it has been such a special cruise for me. On the first night, I met Karen. Karen I knew when I was at NBC in San Jose. I hadn't seen her in 30 years. Wow, it was a great moment. And then I met someone whom I had watched on San Francisco television for 24 years. It's always special meeting one of your heroes. And I asked her why she went into television. And she said, I love to tell stories. And I realized that she had just defined my raison d'etre. I love to tell stories about this music that I'm so passionate about and was a part of my life and is a part of my life now. And, you know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. I'll never forget that. And frankly, the reason I do this is because of you. Here, the interaction with you, meeting you, sharing this experience with you and all of us together for 2 weeks until you hear, oh God, it's that Bob Ray guy again. Anyway, it's been a great pleasure. You've been a wonderful, attentive, and caring audience, and I cannot thank you enough. As you know, I close every performance with the same little mantra, and I think many of you know it now, so let's just give it a whirl. Every day at sea is better than any day at home. For the record, my name is Bob Ray. Thank you all very much. Travel safe and bon voyage.